February 23rd, 2022 Improvement Service Committee will come to order. We'll notice that Alder Scannell's president is present. I don't know, and he's president. Alder Gerlach is present, Alder Burnett, and Alder Weary. Approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Alder Scannell, second by Alder Burnett to approve any changes. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Approval of the minutes.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Alder Gerlach, second by Alder Scannell. Any discussion there? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That motion carries. All right. Number one, regular business. Consideration with possible action on a request by Ian Schuffelbein, 1419 Dousman, to rescind invoice for snow and ice removal on sidewalk in December 2021. Alder Stoyer, it's your request. Do you want staff?
Well, I was just going to say I had asked Mr. Schuffelbein to be here, so I don't see if he's here.
He's logging in right now.
Ah, there we go.
Oh, I see.
Why don't
All
we
right.
hear from, let's hear from staff first, okay?
Sure.
That's right. Director Grenier, can you kind of lay out yours? And then I see Ian, Mr. Schuffelbein, you're logging in. We're going to hear from staff, and then we can open the floor for you.
Okay. Excuse me. We received an email from Mr. Schuffelbein, January 4th, that's included in the packet that indicates that the snow removal invoice date was 12/21 of 21. The snow that came down prior to that date, Mr. Schuffelbein indicates they were out of town for a funeral and they would have shoveled as soon as they got back. They've never had any issues shoveling the walk before. He contacted Public Works and explained the situation. He said they have no sympathy and stated that there was nothing they can do. He finds this answer hard to believe and hopes that Alder Stoyer can do something about it. He also believes that the invoice of $82 is high and unreasonable. In the packet, we provided you with a copy of the invoice and some photographs of the property on the date in question, showing that there was heavy foot traffic through a pretty significant amount of snow. And then after we were done, we had gone through with our blower and then salted to take care of the residuals there. So again, as we've talked about in the past, sidewalks we do not provide warnings for because of the public safety issue associated with it. And I'm waiting. Something just went squirrely with our...
Did we lose somebody? Gain somebody? Who's
No,
singing Green
the
Bay?
Zoom is doing okay, and I think what I'm going to do just... I just started recording the Zoom meeting because the main panel here in the council chambers rebooted for some reason. I want to make sure we've got everything recorded.
So was it recorded before?
It shows that we're still recording, so.
Okay. Okay. Make sure you get my good side. This side.
No, there's no good side.
The other side. Backside. We're on pause while we technical difficulties.
Error message. Okay, again, with the snow removal from sidewalks, because of the safety aspect of that, there's DPW does not provide a warning. 24 hours after the snowfall, if we get a complaint, we go out and we clear the walk. And it's not a fine, it's not a citation, it's not anything like that. It's simply a cost for a service that's rendered, and it's based off of the adopted rates that we adopt every year. So again, in this situation, we understand Mr. Schuffelbein normally does take care of his sidewalk. We don't dispute any of that. In this case, we got a complaint. We went out, investigated the complaint. The walk was not shoveled. We did clear the snow, and we charged the unit rates that we normally would. So,
all right. Thank you.
Hopefully, as objectively as we can, we've explained DPW's position.
I appreciate it. I appreciate Director Grenier and all the attachments. Thank you. I forgot my usual preamble is that everything tonight that we handle as a committee gets reported to council next week at Tuesday for the final decision. Ours is a recommendation. Alder Stoyer, did you have anything, or do you want us to open the floor?
I would say, let's make a point of opening the floor right now. We'll let Ian speak and then I'll chime in where need be.
All right.
I
What are your
move to
wishes,
open
committee?
the floor.
Motion by Alder Gerlach,
Second.
second by Alder Scannell to open the floor. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Anybody here wishing to speak to item 1? Just name your, give us your name and address, please.
Ian Schiefelbein. I live at 1419 Dousman Street.
All right, thank you. Go ahead, the floor is yours.
So yeah, but what he said is all true. Invoice date, all that stuff. I have that here. Yeah, we were out of town whenever that snowfall was. I think it was the second weekend in December for my grandma's funeral. I believe the snowfall happened on Saturday. We would have gotten back late Sunday, and I was planning on, I work night shift, so I was probably planning on shoveling probably Monday afternoon. My buddy was kind enough to come over and shovel our driveway, but didn't think of the sidewalk. So when I got up that day, it was already shoveled, so I just assumed like one of our neighbors took care of it or something like that. So when I got the invoice, I was kind of surprised. I think that there should be a warning. I get the safety concerns. I understand that, but an invoice of $82 seems high to me. And an administrative, it says so the cost for them to come out is $27, and then the administrative charge is $55, which seems much to me. So I guess I'm just looking to consider this either getting dismissed due to the circumstances or reevaluating the charges. Like I said, we've never had any issues before, and it was a special circumstance. And that the kind of, we weren't thinking of getting our sidewalks shoveled during that time.
Okay, I appreciate it. Any questions from the committee for Mr. Go ahead, Alder Gerlach.
Can you just tell us when the funeral was and where it was?
I believe it was, if I recall, December 11th. If that
You
falls
know what
on
day of the week that was? I just am interested in what day of the week it
That was a
was.
Saturday.
a Saturday.
And where was it?
It was in Duluth, Minnesota, up where I'm originally from, so about 5 hours away.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Alder Gerlach. Any other committee members with questions? All right. Mr. Is it Schiefelbein?
Schiefelbein.
Schiefelbein. All right, my German's rusty. All right, Schiefelbein. Anything else you want to add before we discuss it?
I would think that there should be like that. When I called them and said, so when I first spoke to them and told them the circumstances, like I said, they had no sympathy. They didn't say sorry or anything like that. They're just like, oh, well, there's nothing we can do. I would think that the director or someone should be able to dismiss something based off of circumstances. Seeing how we've never had any issues. We were out of town for a funeral, stuff like that.
Okay, I appreciate it. And the normal process is to appeal it here. So I think that was outside of their realm of being able to even do. So you're
Okay.
going the correct route. You're doing the right thing here. All right, well then I'll entertain a motion to return to the regular order.
Motion to close the floor.
Second,
Motion by Alder Scannell, second by Alder Gerlach to close the floor. Those in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Alder Story, why don't we start with you? It's your area.
Okay. I've talked to Ian Schiefelbein several times since this happened, and I understand our ordinances and our rules and regulations. I do understand that, so I know that it's hard to have another vein come into play on this, but I'm looking at it from his standpoint, from the unusual circumstance. He's a good citizen. He always does the work here. It just so happened that the timing was bad. He was out of town. Granted, other people have issues too, but I'm fighting for my citizen. And I'm just stating that, I would entertain for the committee to just look at this and see if there's a way to either reduce or diminish or rescind this bill. So, it's just basically a straightforward type of thing. I don't think there's a whole lot of gray area here. It's either black or white. As an alder, I'm just representing my citizen. So.
All right, thank you, Alder Steyer. Alder Gerlach.
You know how I am loath to give away city money and I always vote no to these things. But I think this is one case where we ought to rescind this fee. I think that if there's anything that is going to keep you from shoveling your sidewalk, it's when you go to Duluth, Minnesota for your grandmother's funeral. And I suspect this gentleman shovels his sidewalk religiously otherwise. And I just don't see, I would just be willing to dismiss this. I wonder what my colleagues think.
All right, I appreciate it. Anyone else on the committee? Is there a motion or any other discussion? You both are thinking, deeply thinking. All right, Alder Burnett.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that this is the sort of thing where we have these policies put in place for a reason, for safety. Every now and then I'll get a call from a constituent, perhaps in a wheelchair, perhaps unable to move well. And, not having sidewalks cleared is a huge safety liability and concern for people. And on the other side of that, though, our government, any government, has to be flexible and reasonable. Gentleman had a very good reason. He went through the proper channels to ask, with professional conduct for a refund, and I'm willing to grant it based on those things.
Thank you, Alder Burnett. Alder Scannell, did you have anything to add to this?
Not really, not much. It's unfortunate he had arranged for someone to do the shoveling, but they just did the driveway. It would have been good if they had done the sidewalk, and then we wouldn't be here at all. So it's kind of a goof up. So it sounds like he had things planned and there was an error. And I could go either way on this, and so I'm fine with going along with my fellow alders on this.
All right, well, I'll entertain a motion. Alder Gerlach.
I move to rescind this invoice.
Second.
Motion by Alder Gerlach, second by Alder Scannell to rescind the invoice for 1419 Dousman. Under discussion, Alder Burnett.
Yeah, real quick, Chairman, if Mr. Grenier could explain to the gentleman what that administrative cost is. I agree that on the surface it seems high, but it's the staff time, it's putting equipment out there into the field that otherwise wouldn't be there. So I don't think it's an outlandish charge, although to the typical, resident, it may very well seem like a high charge. Director Grenier, can you explain that administrative charge?
Well, I'll be happy to try, but I think you actually did a pretty good job yourself, Alder Burnett. That administrative charge largely represents the staff time that's necessary to receive, field that complaint, go out, investigate the complaint, and then make the arrangements to have the work completed. And then, quite honestly, the last part of it is to send the invoice out. So the $55, you probably have 10 to 15 minutes worth of time invested on each of 5 people to do that. So you really, when you start looking at 15 minutes worth of time for each of these individuals, and you add that up, you're probably up, that's where the $55 comes from. And every year for our service fees, before we adopt those service fees, we actually bring those forward here to the Improvement Service Committee, and then that fee is adopted for the year. So once we've got that adopted fee, we're really not at liberty to change or alter that fee. That fee's been adopted.
All right, thank you. We do have a motion in a second. Anything else, Alder Burnett?
No, that's it. Thank you.
All right, any other discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. All right, Mr. Schiefelbein, that passes our committee and it'll be referred to council next week. I don't anticipate an issue, but it's not official till council votes on it next Tuesday.
March 1st.
All right, thanks for attending.
Thank you for hearing me out.
Actually, Alder, where isn't March 1st? Is that Tuesday? I guess it is. I'm sorry. Never mind. Never mind. Okay.
You're looking at last year's calendar, Mark.
You promised not to tell.
All right.
All
Number
right.
2, consideration with possible action on request by Department of Public Works to grant TDS Metrocom an easement for fiber optic equipment node on parcel 21-1283 on 1661T East Mason Street. 1661T East Mason Street. That's kind of unusual. Okay. Go ahead, Director Grenier.
Okay, we've been talking to you about this TDS Metrocom project that's coming to Green Bay, where they're going to be putting the 505 miles worth of fiber optic in. And again, it operates kind of on, the best way to think of it is like a hub and spoke type of an arrangement, only what they refer to as the node, which is the hub. And then their digital fiber networks radiate out from each of the hubs like spokes, okay? So this is a hub or node that's being installed. Included in your packet, we provided you with a map. This particular parcel is a remnant parcel from realignment of Mason Street years and years ago. It is directly across Mason Street from Tim Son's and immediately to the west of Happy Joe's Pizza. There's a currently vacant parcel there. So in the map, you can see 21-1283 is that little vacant remnant parcel. It's an unbuildable parcel, too small for the zoning category that it lies in. And on the map that we provided in the packet, you got to kind of look for it, but there's down near the triangle at the southwest edge of that parcel, there's a little red square colored in there that approximately represents the 10 by 10 footprint that the node will occupy. Again, because it is an unbuildable parcel that is city owned, DPW does feel that this is a proper and adequate location for that fiber optic node. So we would recommend that the council approve the easement for that location.
All right. Right by the best pizza in Green Bay, Happy Joe's.
Yep, can't beat that. Motion to approve.
Motion by Alder Scannell, second by Alder Burnett. Alder Gerlach, you had a question or?
Question, yes.
Okay.
What is the size of this node?
Again, it's the cabinets themselves are different sizes, but it occupies about a 10 by 10 footprint, approximately 5 feet high.
So it's about the same, it's the same thing that we talked about recently at a different site?
Yes.
Okay.
The
How many of these?
the same cabinets that folks have asked to see if we can get them to put public art on or things like that.
Right. How many of these are we going to have in the city?
16. About 18 of them to cover the entire city.
Okay.
Yeah, I think at the last Parks Committee meeting, we had one that's going in Henisra Park.
Right.
That one is having a mural of Alder Burnett on it. So it's kind of tasteful, you know, and delicate.
Assistant Director Burnett, not me.
Oh, okay.
And that hasn't come before the Public Arts Commission yet.
No,
so
it doesn't.
just
No,
wait.
I don't think it's gonna fly. All right.
I want to know which profile of the alder.
Well, have you seen Seinfeld? It's the one of George. Okay. Any other discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
That carries. Number 3, very similar, consideration with possible action on request by Department of Public Works to grant TDS Metrocom an easement for fiber optic equipment node on parcel 18142, 707T Lincoln.
So again, this is a very similar request to the previous item. Again, we've provided you with a map in the packet. This is a remnant parcel on the corner of Lincoln and Velp. If you remember back in 2011, when we did the Velp Avenue project, we widened Velp Avenue as a boulevard section, and we had to acquire a number of properties along the north side of Velp at that point. This is one of those properties that was acquired. Again, we have a very small 3,819 square foot parcel. It's fairly unbuildable on its own. I think there was a neighborhood association that had some public art on there years and years ago. shortly after the Velp Avenue project. So it's an area that we've looked at for beautification efforts or items like that. Again, a very appropriate location for something like this to reside. So staff recommends approval of the easement necessary for the node there.
Thanks, Steve. Committee,
Motion to approve.
Second.
motion by Alder Scannell, second by Alder Burnett. Questions on this one? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. We're on to the exciting part, report of actions taken by Department of Public Works. A, granting license and sidewalk builders, Blazer Construction, Craftsman Concrete, Douglas J. Mower Concrete, and Jim Fisher Inc. Any questions on those licenses that were granted? No? I'll go into 2, tree and bush trimmer, A to Z tree service, best stump grinding, and Wolf Raths Landscaping. Any questions on the tree and bush trimmers? Underground sprinkler, Roberts Quality Irrigation LLC and Wolf Raths Landscaping LLC. Questions? All right, with no questions, it's probably just appropriate to receive and place on file.
Motion to receive and place on file.
Second.
Second.
By Alder Scannell, second by Alder Burnett to receive and place on file. Any discussion on that? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. On to informational director's report.
Okay, just a very brief report. We were very lucky to dodge a lot of the negative impacts from the storm last night. We do have another one warming up for Thursday, so staff is planning for that, but it's not looking to be another, it's looking to be more in line with what we had on Tuesday, not a big snow generator.
Well, Steve, I
so
have to say my son's disappointed. He wanted a snow day. So if you could guarantee a snow day for school on Thursday.
It's funny, my daughter is currently student teaching at Green Bay Southwest, and she wanted one as well.
Oh, there you go.
So
Okay.
even the teachers like snow days.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you bet. You bet we do.
So, yeah, we've got that coming up. I just wanted to make the council or the committee aware. I actually had a meeting with some of my operations staff within the past week. They have brought forward some requests for some items that they are looking for consideration on. So we may be getting some operations folks appearing before us
All right.
to bring forward some ideas on what they have to help improve the community. And I think that's great because
Yes. Yeah.
that's going to give the public an opportunity to see some of these folks who otherwise are nothing more than a truck. And see the passion and commitment to the city that these folks bring. So I'm more than happy to invite the staff in to share their ideas with you. So be looking for that in the future.
That's
We have
excellent.
our first public hearings for the year tonight. Just want to brief you relative to the public hearings because of some of the items or some of the actions that have transpired over the last couple of weeks. Again, there are statutory requirements that tell us certain dates and days ahead of other actions for the process of doing the public hearings. We had already started down some of those public notification roads with the statutory pre-date restrictions. So with the resurface or with the hearings we're having tonight, one of the streets involved in the hearing is South Oakland Avenue, and that project has been deferred or delayed until 2023. It was just easier to continue down this road and hold action at the end. So we're going through the hearing process, then we'll hold the action because in 2023, we're going to have to do this all over again. With the Roosevelt Street, when we send the notices out, the information that's sent out to the public contains an estimate of what the probable costs will be at that time. We had not yet adopted our assessment rates for 2022. The assessment rates went up slightly, so the numbers have changed a little bit. I will have information for you at the hearing on those changes. And what we'll be seeking at that point will be to amend the rates. If that action is successful, then the rate amendment will get approved at council next week. Then we'll bring the actual action item back at the next INS meeting to order the improvements and the levies assessed. But we will continue with the hearing tonight and get that hearing component taken care of. The asphalt resurfacing, on the other hand, that's a standard like we do all the time, and we can just go forward with it. So just wanted to give you a little bit of a heads up to what as to what to expect at 6 o'clock, because we're going to have 3 separate actions, and I'd rather discuss it now so we can have get any questions out of the way, so you're comfortable with moving forward with the action at 6.
Questions from the committee on that? All right. Very good. That anything else, Steve? Any questions for director under report?
The only other thing is I would suggest your next action to be to temporarily recess the INS committee meeting until 6 o'clock, at which time we reconvene for the public hearing.
All right, fair enough. We
Oh yeah, we
meeting
still
again
have
on
to
March.
receipt and place on file the director's.
Oh, yeah. I'll entertain a motion for that.
So moved.
Motion by Alder
Second.
Scannell, second by Alder Gerlach to receive and place on file the director's report. Motion to carry. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. Number 2, is we meet again March 9th. And the public hearings, if we could just pause the meeting until 6 o'clock, it's 5:27. We'll come back at 6 and reconvene.
So a motion to recess?
Second.
By Alder Scannell, second by Alder Gerlach to recess until 6 o'clock. Alder Burnett.
Director Grenier, should we keep this up or do we have to sign back in?
No, you'll be able to, as long as you leave everything open. It's really kind of an analogous situation to when council goes into closed session.
Got it.
We'll just hold at this point and jump right back into the meeting.
All right. Very good. Those in favor?
With
Oh, sorry, Alder.
recess, we don't have to go outside and play, do we?
You kind of do. Kind of do. All right. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. We will see everybody in a half an hour.
All right,
Bye-bye.
thanks, everyone.
Okay, the February 23rd Improvement and Service Committee will reconvene 6:04. We're picking up with public hearings. Asphalt resurfacing, Ontario Road, Finger Road to Tobermory, Klaus Street, North Webster to North Irwin, St. George Street, Weber Street to Wheezy Street. Now, do we ask if people are here? Steve, is that the usual?
I would take both the resurfacing and the 2 asphaltic pavement projects.
Perfect. Yeah, we can do that. Asphalt pavement is Roosevelt Street from Main to Stewart and South Oakland from Howard to 225 feet south of School Place. Is there anyone here for the public hearing on any of those roads? I see there's a Chromebook logged in. I don't know, is anybody here for comments on the asphalt resurfacing or asphalt pavement, Ontario, Klaus, St. George, Roosevelt, and South Oakland? Just give us your name and address if you're here for any of those items.
Mike Meyer, Klaus Street,
Okay, could I get your address, Mr. Meyer?
1335 North Irwin, which is on the corner of Irwin and Klaus.
Thank you, appreciate it. Okay, the floor is yours. Did you have a comment or question?
I'm curious. We got the bill for the $927.50, and I thought that we paid for the wheel tax with our vehicle registration, and it's supposed to cover the cost of city road repairs. I didn't understand why we got a bill for that, because I know that my in-laws don't live very far from us, and they didn't get a bill when they got their street done. I just was curious why we got a bill.
All right, I'm going to direct that to our director. If you could, is that zoned residential there, director? Is that?
Well, and that's, I'm going to be looking to see if I get a visual from Matt Wysack, the assistant city engineer. The property is probably not a residentially zoned property. So in that case, what happened with the wheel tax, all residential assessments are covered by the wheel tax, and 50% of non-residentially zoned properties are covered by the wheel tax. So non-residentially zoned are still assessed at a 50% rate.
Yeah, and what I'm taking a look at here is with that property, it appears that there's a business being operated out of that property. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Right, and that would be the reason that this would be deemed commercial use. And that is the reason that the assessments would apply.
Even though it's like, so we're the only ones then paying because of or because of the business that's out of this house?
Well, it would be any properties that are non-residentially zoned as single or two-family homes.
Okay, because this is just a regular house. We just put a salon in it. Like it's still part of the residential zone, and there's no businesses around here. Well, down the street there's some, but this is all houses around us. We just run a salon out of a room in our house.
Correct,
I
but
didn't
because of the business being operated out of the home, that's what's doing it.
Okay. So other houses around here, because they don't have them, are not paying. And that's why my in-laws didn't have to pay. But since we have a business here, that's why we have to pay.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Question, please.
Sure, Alder Gaylor.
This is, I don't mean to, this is not a question for Mr. Meyer, but for the director. So you say 50%. So he is assessed 50% of the work that is done just in front of his property, not 50% of the whole road, correct?
Well, the assessments are based on a front foot, the amount of feet that front the road. And then there's an assessment rate. So prior to the wheel tax, we charged that assessment rate for every front foot. Now with the wheel tax, if it's a true residentially used property, that full assessment is being covered by the wheel tax for businesses or where a business is being operated out of a home. 50% of that assessment is covered by the wheel tax, and 50% of that rate multiplied by the front foot goes to the property owner.
So if we, you said 50%. So if we didn't have a business, we wouldn't have to pay that extra 50%?
That is correct.
Okay.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Steve, it would have been double that without the wheel tax, right? Because it's actually
Correct.
a quarter. Okay, so
That's what I was worrying about, double. Okay. got
yeah,
it.
so it would have been 1,800 without the wheel tax.
So with the wheel tax, you're still getting a break. But because you're a business, you still have to pay some
Okay.
assessment.
Even
All
though it's a public, or it's not really a public, it's by appointment only. So it's not like anybody can just walk in. Everybody has to set appointments. Does that change the type of business it is? Because
No,
you
it
can't
does
just
not.
walk in. It's not a walk-in at all.
No, it does not. It's the fact that there is commercial activity going on.
Okay. So it's my wife's fault then.
I want to agree with you.
It's not my fault. I'm not running
Yeah.
it.
You didn't hear that from any of us.
Don't you
Got
be
it.
pulling down hair salons now.
I'm not. She's doing fine, but I was just curious about that. Okay.
I appreciate it, Mr. Meyer. Any other questions from the committee or our staff or any other comments?
When will this approximately start?
The work or the billing or both?
Work.
Okay.
Matt, do you want to address that?
Yeah. We don't have a defined schedule yet. So this is our resurfacing program. So we have multiple, actually probably close to 24 streets within the city that we'll be doing this work on. So part of the contract is left up to the contract to determine and set their schedule. But we do anticipate this is going to be most of the construction season. So likely starting potentially as early as May and wrapping up as late as October.
Okay.
So our contractor will be sending more information out as well as the city will be when a start date is known, notifying you of when to be prepared for that.
Now, will the street be accessible if you live on it? Like, or are they going to shut it down? Because my driveway's on Klaus and the front entrance is on Irwin. So like I would drive on that. So are they shutting down the street completely, or would they like allow vehicles that, because that's also the place where our customers park too.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
like, would they have access? I mean, it's the first road off of Irwin. So like I wouldn't know if they had access to our driveway or not.
Right. So we will be closing the road to through traffic, but it will be remaining open to local traffic. So for the most part, you will have access to your driveway. Now, there may be
Okay.
periods of time throughout construction, depending on the exact work that's taking place in front of your property. If there was some water work, some sewer work, there may be periods of time where you don't have access to that. And anytime you're going to be restricted, the contractor will have to notify you in advance. So you
Okay, that's
prepare
what I
for
was
that.
curious about, the notification.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yep, and then there may be some closures, intermittent closures, also due to any concrete restoration that may be needed and or asphalt pavement. But I think fortunately for you, where you're located on the corner there, you would have access to park on Irwin. We do work with our parking utility as well to make sure that we can provide some accommodations without being ticketed during that time frame.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, thank you. Thanks, Matt. Any other questions, Mr. Meyer?
No, I believe that's it.
All right. Thank you. Anyone else here for the? I was just going to ask one more time, Mr. Scannell, if that's all right. Alder Scannell, that's right. Just to be, I don't think anybody else is here on Zoom, but just to be sure, anyone else here for comments on the public hearings, asphalt resurfacing? Anybody? Anybody? All right. Alderman Scannell, motion to close the floor.
Yep.
Is there a second to that?
Second, but we never opened it.
Oh, that's right. I don't even know if we need to with public hearings.
I don't think so. I don't know.
Oh,
Yeah. So, all right.
Right. Okay,
Let it be
never
known.
I
Yeah.
rescind my motion.
Oh, boy. It's rescinded.
I'm sorry. I don't go along with rescinding things. I'm sorry.
All right. Well, let it be known that we had one person comment and no one else was here. What's the appropriate motion again here to?
Well, first thing I'll do is read into the record the engineer's report. So for the public hearing on February 23rd of 2022, in accordance with state statute 66.0703 is being held to levy assessments for the proposed pavement improvements, which are included in the 2022 capital improvement program. All of the projects being considered tonight will be included in contracts administered by the City of Green Bay Department of Public Works Engineering Division. All of the proposed assessments are being levied in accordance with the city's assessment ordinance. During construction, the contractor is required to provide access to businesses at all times and residences as much as practical. When a residential driveway is inaccessible, the property owners or tenants can receive permission from the city police department to park on adjoining streets. Problems during construction should be brought to the attention of the Department of Public Works Engineering Division by calling 448-3100. Asphalt pavement. Roosevelt Street from Main Street to Stewart Street is classified as a local road in a residentially zoned area with a few commercial properties. The existing asphalt is an urban road section in poor condition and is in need of reconstruction. Roosevelt Street will be reconstructed with an asphalt pavement with curb and gutter over a gravel base and a typical clear width of 30 feet. The 2022 assessment rate for asphalt property reconstruction is $50.40 per front foot for commercial zoned used properties. The estimated cost of pavement construction is $600,000. Sanitary sewer, storm sewer, and water main rehabilitation and construction will be performed prior to pavement reconstruction. The estimated cost of the sanitary sewer, storm sewer, and water main are $272,000, $899,000, and $600,000 respectively. No assessments will be levied for the sanitary sewer, storm sewer, or water main improvements. South Oakland Avenue, from Howard Street to 225 feet south of School Place, is classified as a local road in a residential zoned area with a single commercial property. The existing asphalt is an urban road section in poor condition and is in need of reconstruction. South Oakland Avenue will be reconstructed with an asphalt pavement with curb and gutter over a gravel base and a typical clear width of 30 feet. The 2022 assessment rate for asphalt pavement reconstruction is $50.40 per front foot for commercial zoned used properties. The estimated cost of pavement construction is $710,000. Sanitary sewer, storm sewer, and water main rehabilitation and construction will be performed prior to pavement reconstruction. The estimated cost of the sanitary sewer, storm sewer, and water main are $480,000, $1,730,000, and $190,000 respectively. No assessments will be levied for the sanitary sewer, storm sewer, or water main improvements. Asphalt resurfacing. Asphalt resurfacing on the streets being considered tonight will consist of milling the existing pavement, eliminating depressions with a 1 1/2 inch asphalt leveling course, and then placing a 1 1/2 inch or more asphalt surface over the entire paved area. The objectives of resurfacing are to provide a smoother roadway surface, eliminate maintenance problems, and to extend the life of the street. Asphalt resurfacing can only be completed on an existing improved street where the base is still in good condition. Once base failure has occurred, the entire street usually has to be reconstructed. Prior to resurfacing any street, utilities will be reconstructed and/or rehabilitated as needed. In addition, preparation work consisting of milling the existing asphalt, spot base repair, and curb and gutter repair will be completed. The following factors are considered when determining whether or not curb and gutter shall be mud jacked or replaced. 1, the condition of the curb and gutter. 2, the amount of water retained in the gutter. 3, the amount of funds available for curb repair work. All preparation work for asphalt resurfacing is provided at no cost to the property owner. The 2022 assessment rate for asphalt resurfacing is $14.40 per front foot for commercial zoned or used properties. The estimated cost to resurface all of the streets included in this year's resurfacing program is $2,339,000. Personnel from the Department of Public Works Engineering have field inspected the streets included in this hearing and have determined that resurfacing is warranted at this time. The streets being considered resurfacing are as follows: Ontario Road, Finger Road to Tobermory Drive, Klaus Street, North Webster Avenue to North Irwin Avenue, and St. George Street, Reber Street to Wheezy Street. No assessments will be levied for sanitary sewer, storm sewer, or water main improvements. So now that we have the engineer's report into the record, we can close the public hearing. And after the public hearing, we can take action on the three. There will be 3 separate actions that we'll be looking for.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Motion by Alder Scannell to close the public hearing.
Second.
Second by Alder Gerlach. Any discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Public hearing is closed. All right. What's our first motion or
Okay,
action?
so for the first item is one that I had talked to you about relative to Roosevelt Street. Roosevelt Street, when we sent the paperwork out, had an estimate of probable assessment rates. Subsequent to sending out that notice, the assessment rates have been updated. So what we would ask is that the assessment rates be amended to the current 2022 assessment rates. What we can then do, if that action is successful, we will send those rates out and what the impacts are, the difference between the new rates and the rates that were included in the estimate as part of the preliminary resolution. Those will become part of the report that goes before Common Council, and they will also become part of the action item that comes before the committee next time.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Alder Scannell, second by Alder Gerlach to proceed as Director Grenier mentioned with the rates. Any discussion on that? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That one carries.
Second action would be relative to the South Oakland Avenue reconstruction project. And we request that that the engineer's report simply be received and placed on file. Again, we'll have to go through this process in 23 when we actually go forward with that project.
Move to receive and place on file.
Second.
All right, motion by Alder Gerlach, second by Alder Scannell to receive and place on file the engineer's report for South Oakland Avenue. Discussion on that? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. And lastly, what do we have?
Last one would be for the Asphalt Resurfacing Program, that improvements be ordered in and assessments levied.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Alder Scannell, second by Alder Gerlach. Any discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. All right. Some streets are getting done. Good. Anything else before
Now
us?
we are up to item H.
Adjournment. Everybody's favorite part.
Adjournment. Oh.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Oh, you beat Randy to it. That's impressive. Motion to adjourn by Alder Gerlach, second by Alder Scannell. Discussion. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right. We're done.
Aye.
Thank you all.
Thanks,
Good
Dave.
to